the problem we have with this government, and those who speak for the president, those I call a raucous band of noisy aides, is that they have nothing to tell the people. Leave Mr. P2B and Kwankwaso and other leaders of the opposition alone. Focus on the next election. You cannot rhetoricize this gamble that the president has to do it again. You must come there with a calling card. This is what this president has accomplished. The opposition can rhetoricize it. When we do this, when we do that, we give you heaven and earth, we give you Dorado. The people may buy it. But the only way they will not buy it is for you to say, hello, hold it there. This is what the president has accomplished. But he can't do that because he has to run on his record. That record is shabby and for me, shameful in many regards. He has even taken the failures of the Buhari presidency, embraced it and taken it to a higher level of glory or in glory, not just glory, of infamy. Correct word. On the economic front, disaster. On the security front, disaster. On living standard front, disaster. On people's sense of self, of sense of prosperity, of welfare, of identifying themselves as Nigerian, disaster. Every single indices.
This is Naija Unfiltered on Symphony TV. My name is Olawale Oluwade, and my guest today is Professor Udenta, former founding secretary, Alliance for Democracy, and also distinguished fellow, Abuja School of Social and Political Thought. Prof, nice to see you once again.
I think it's been a while, Olawale.
It has been.
I hope I will not be slaughtered too much today.
Definitely not. You are very, very comfortable and welcome here. A lot has happened since the last time we met, so we need to get right into it and unpack what's been going on. Peter Obi and Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, they just left the coalition political party ADC, and they've joined the NDC. Incidentally, they had their convention at the NDC yesterday. How did this exit from the ADC? How did they come to you? And what's your take on this entire situation?
The Nigerian political process, in fact, indeed, the entire democratic system is convulsing. This period is very fluid. The fluid nature of the political environment demands or necessitates various forms of movements by different political players who are acutely aware that to survive this harsh political environment, they need to mutate and adapt. So what P2B and Kwankwaso did is to mutate and adapt, given the challenges carefully produced and curated by the Tinubu presidency that has captured the Nigerian state using instrumentalities of power and apparatuses of coercion, range from INEC, the court system, judicial authorities, and so on, to diminish liberal democratic conversation and possibly multi-party contestation for power. So when you do that, what do people do? We have the ancient wisdom that when hunters have learned to shoot without missing their mark, the birds will learn to fly without pitching on a twig. So this hunter is the presidency and the APC and INEC. They've learned carefully to shoot without missing their mark. So B and Kwankwaso have learned to fly without pitching on a twig. PDP exploded, not imploded. It was externally induced explosion. Though the party is rebounding in some sort of form now, post the Supreme Court judgment. For 2 years, a vicious war was levied on the party. Most of these leading lights and other political figures migrated to the ADC. Okay, ADC is our new home. Let us carefully build this new home. Let us have a transition from the old order in ADC to a new leadership. And that was successfully done. INEC monitored every process of that transition. Everything was deposited with them. All the records of meetings, all the resolutions and everything. Suddenly, Professor Mahmoud left office and Professor Mopeton came in. Things began to unravel. Appeal Court gave a judgment, gave a ruling, and INEC, against every known legal advice, interpreted the ruling to suit the ruling party and suit Amopeton's INEC. With that with another court judgment, declaring the legacy chairmen as those who are actually owners of the party, not David Mark or Adiboshala. With another case pending somewhere, with appeal to the Supreme Court, the air of uncertainty was thick. Politicians do not like uncertainty. You lack stability and certainty. So that's what P2B and Kwankwaso did. They needed to move the NDC, a new formation, ideologically grounded. Because I know the founder of NDC. Senator Dixon, His Excellency, former governor of Bayelsa State and city senator, way back in the AD Alliance for Democracy days, a warrior in the struggle, put together this very strong, ideologically, grounded, philosophically envisioned party, and beacon on Obi Kwankwaso and other leading lights of the position to come and help him build it. So that's why they gravitated there, started building this new formation. They had their convention. Last Saturday. It was a resounding success, and incredibly, like most other parties, the PDP, for example, even the APC with the Bola Tinubu as the president, and a few others said the presidency had to stay in the South for the 27 to 31 cycle. They affirmed that, that reality of how would they lead balance power and balance the appetite of power. How would they have an inclusive political environment so that everybody have a sense of belonging? Let the presidency stay in the South to 2031, and thereafter it journeys to the North. NDC accomplished that on Saturday.
Brilliant. Thanks for your opening remarks. So, Prof, one of the reasons adduced by Mr. Peter Obi for his exit from the ADC coalition, amongst others, includes number one, the APC ruling party and the government's machinations. Also, toxicity within the coalition itself, internal wranglings, mutual suspicions, and then disunity, and all of those. These reasons, how do they sound to you? Are they germane? Are they plausible?
There are two environments in politics: the external environment and the internal environment. Members of the political party will deal with the internal environment, the situations, the circumstances, the conditions, the issues within the party as an organic formation. That means if there are contestations within the party, if there are disputes within the party, if there are tendencies within the party or factions within the party, members of the party will do no more about that than those who operate from the external environment. I'm not a member of ADC. I was not a member. I'm still not a member. So I may not be privy to the internal wranglings and contestations and disputations and the toxic environment he described. But I do know that from the outside, which is the external environment I operate from, being an analyst and a Nigerian patriot, to know that political parties in the country are not deep with regard to coherent ideological premise or philosophical direction. That means it's a patch up of different tendencies and different formations. People come from the radical, the conservative, and so on. People come from different geographies or geopolitical alliances. So it is difficult to blend easily. And some will have some, sense of entitlement within these formations. So this could be possibly what Mr. Peter Obi, must have alluded to. Well, being a member of the party, who will have this information far more than myself, is not a member of the party. What I do know is that the reasons he gave in terms of the toxic environment on the outside, the way and manner the Bola Tinubu presidency, the APC government as a whole, and institutions of the state, apparatuses of the state, are working extra hard, non-stop, to diminish multi-party democracy, destroy the liberal political spirit. That was unfurled like a banner on the country in 1999. That is frightening. So if you cannot survive within a party that is racked by legal challenges, today ADC has a lot of legal challenges. It is a happy moment that the names of the chairman and secretary have been restored to the INEC portal. But they still have the Supreme Court, aspect of that judgment to stay content with. The matter has to go back to High Court. They may even crawl up to Appeal Court. There's another judgment altogether that only the state chairman, who are legacy chairman, will have a say in who is elected in the congresses and convention. These are multiple issues that no politician is going to find himself entangled with. So he gave that substantive reason why he needed to find a party with less encumbrances. A party with less issues to deal with. A party with less institutional challenges to grapple with. That's exactly why the movement occurred to NDC. And that's a brilliant move. The way Amanda here and Kwankwaso came together, almost like two souls merging as one, two spirits forming together, in unity of the North and the South. 1914, the birth of Nigeria, even though it was not organic birth, it was imposed birth. But that birth is still with us over 100 years. So from the North, from the South, the merging of forces, you see, the unity of this country will be the unity of the South and the unity of the North to produce a greater national unity. Obi and Kwankwaso represent this new formation, this new search for national inclusive politics national inclusive direction for the sake of our democracy and the prosperity of the nation.
Three counter narratives have emerged since Peter Obi left. Different sorts of narrative, but I've summarized into three. Number one, inability to, or an unwillingness to face contest within any political structure. And people have traced his political trajectory from APGA to Labour to PDP and now ADC. That he loves, is the spoiled child of Nigerian politics. He loves to be handed freebies on a platter. Second narrative, this old idea of north-south power rotation is not constitutional. It's a political arrangement within the PDP. I'm not even sure it is codified in any of the other political parties. So, and also, if you look at it, people have said the South has actually had power for 20 years now, if you have Tinubu, as against the North, just 10 years. And then finally, that why is Mr. Peter Obi unwilling to build a political party, like other great people have done? Great politicians, Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, and the list, even Tinubu, like him or hate him, builds a political party. Peter Obi should have stayed in Labour, builds Labour. Can you respond to this, Prof?
Very simple. Number one, we talked about Mr. Peter Obi jumping ship at every point in time. Let's trace the history. APGA emerged as a regionalist response to an overarching sense of dispossession or lack of historical restitution for a people who lost the Civil War. It was not pretentious about its identity as a small regional party, in spite of having some bearings in the North and the West. There's no way it can power a greater national vision or presidential aspiration or dream using such a vehicle. So he served his 2 terms as the governor of Anambra State and then worked for Jonathan briefly as honorary advisor on financial matters, if you recall, and became under the deputy DG of his presidential campaign 2015. That's when he caught his teeth within the national sphere. From there, he became now integral within the PDP platform and became the running mate of Atiku. 2019, willingly submitted himself to be a running mate of the candidate of the party. That is being part of the party already built, part of that process of re-engineering the party, moving the party forward. 2023 was very spectacular. The party's refusal, that is PDP refusal, to zone the presidency to the South, to officially pronounce it, that if you are not from the South, you should not contest for the primaries of the party. And if you do so, you are actually enjoying, inflicting injury on a sense of elite cohesion. There's something we call elite consensus. If you don't build it, you can't build national consensus. PDP failed to build it in 2023. So he saw through all that this kind of charade will produce a predictable end. The implosion of the party if care is not taken. He took a walk and started building a small party called Labour Party. He stood there to build a party. He infused energy and dynamics on that party. The sense of charisma, that sense of populism was what galvanized a party that was relatively unknown. He created to build a movement, or they created a movement around him to build a movement with the small structure the party has to power through 2023 that many even predicted or many even saw that he may have won the election or he didn't win the election. There's a speculation. The figures were changed and altered here. So we don't even know whether he won that election. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But to do that in less than a year, remarkably, done within a year, for me, is almost like possibly somebody called that a miracle.
Spectacular.
A spectacular miracle of our time. Now what happened? The government saw through that if he didn't get it fully done in 2023, pronounce the president-elect, sworn in, he would do it in 2027. What did they do? They invaded the space of the Labour Party, emasculated the genuine members there, and empowered a leadership that was foreign to it. It is that sense of splitting the party into 2 into 3 pieces. Not because the party could not stand entirely as a coherent force, but there was external pressure to do so. I don't usually mention people's names, but we know who these people are. So what will you do when the party has completely been emasculated? We'll find a new home. What is that new home? That home has to be, as I said, the assemblage of the people. The new conversation among the elite, and they formed the ADC. He was prepared to stay with the ADC, and he didn't leave because he did not want to build a home there. When they have deep legal challenges, we are witnesses to these legal challenges. They have not gone away. I'm not saying that those in ADC are making a spectacular mistake or possibly will be haunted by whatever decision they're taking now. But any wise political player in Nigeria would understand that this government is authoritarian in nature, illiberal in composition, and directs contestation for power. That means it will do everything possible to ensure that this ADC is frustrated. That is still going ahead to say, judge will be changed and so on. There, the speculation, what's going to happen, reassign the judge handling the case, in order to slow down the process, delay the time. He's now gone to NDC to build a new party with other members of the Nigerian family. I believe this home was left alone by the government, and that is why we're screaming aloud. There are Wesleyans in our midst. There are later day, moralists who are against the NDC. There are those banding with their loud mouth in the media, talking frantically to bring the party down. There are those who cannot even be investigated in terms of adequacy of moral imperative, who are saying the party should be brought down. There are those asking the government directly to bring this party down. We are warning, let this party be. Not for the sake of P2B or Kwankwaso, but for the sake of the head of our democracy. We are saying any judge that is procured or created to do this as a job should think twice. Nigerians are watching and they are tired of this repeated judicial intervention. When that is done, Mr. P2B, Dr. Kwankwaso, and the rest of the leaders and members of the vanguard of NDC will stay firm in the party, grow the party as the brand, deepen its infrastructure, get it ready for the next election, and possibly be sworn in when they win decisively January 2027.
That's still a long way. That's still a long shot.
Oh, that's not my prediction.
It's still a long shot.
Long shot, I know.
Well, I mean, hope is eternal. Hope eternal.
Yes.
Absolutely. Now, some commentators, particularly those who were very, very close, formerly very, very close to Mr. Peter Obi, have come out at various times. But a couple of them just last week to give very strong chastisement of Mr. Peter Obi, his leadership, not moral or whatever, but just leadership. One of them is his former vice presidential candidate, Yusuf Dati Ahmed, who said the way he left ADC does not portray him in good leadership stead. Beyond that, Mr. Kenneth Okonkwo, his former spokesperson, was even more strident and more, for want of a better, phrase, more critical, more condemning of Mr. Peter Obi. And in fact, went ahead to say he has buried his political, future by decamping from the ADC to the NDC. What do you say about this?
Now, let me put it this way. There's an ancient
saying.
Yes, there's an ancient saying. Sometimes they say these ancient wisdoms are tried.
And tested.
No, but true.
Yeah.
That great minds discuss ideas. Average minds invent, and small minds discuss people. I don't know how Nigerians look at me, whether I'm an average mind, a small mind, or a great mind. Great many Nigerians, at the risk of being modest, consider me a great mind. So I'm not talking about individuals. They're not important in this conversation of national survival. We're dealing with a vicious government that is ready to torpedo the sweat, not just of our founding fathers and mothers, the sweat of those of us who genuinely fought for democracy. If care is not taken, our duty is to use the extra legal constitutional means at our disposal to ensure, and peaceful too, that this democracy survives. That is far more important, than the way and manner people talk, either ill or good of individuals. Even God himself is not spared, or Christ, or Muhammad, any of the great moral forces. But as humans, we don't compare ourselves to them. I'm saying even them. How about we mortals? So whether we are right or wrong, people will do that. So that's not important. What is important is the dedication of your heart and soul, the clarity of your vision, your moral stature or strength that will drive your movement. That's what P2B is all about. That matter is settled in that regard. Well, back again to what you talked about zoning. You nearly escaped me. Zoning is not in the Constitution.
Yeah.
But many things are not in the Constitution. Is the geopolitical zone in the Constitution? I don't think it's in the Constitution. Please, fact check me whether the geopolitical zone, 6 of them, are constitutionalized.
Only 8 states. Sorry, 36 states.
So why are we not doing things on geopolitical zones? Even most of the appointments are constitutional in nature. Even most of the selections of board members and commissions and so on. Even most of the patronage is given. Even ministers now appointed on geopolitical basis after the state, composition. They now say, why for a geopolitical zone? I remember one of the presidents. So that will tell you that the fetish of the Constitution is what has led many nations astray. Ujo Madekwe of blessed memory said on air, if a president exercises 30% of his or her powers, he becomes a monster. That means the rest 70 will be forbearance, toleration, and sense of inclusion. That means conventions and the things that power a system. Why is it that Bola Tinubu's running mate is not from Ogun State? I'm asking you, Olawale. Why is his running mate not from Ogun State and the current vice president? Why is he from the north? No, but it's not in the constitution.
It is not.
It can be his wife. Why do you think it's important that he's from the north? So whoever tells you there's no zoning in the constitution, tell the person that this is a conventional arrangement by people at moments in history and time in order to create balance, stability, and sense of inclusion. And zoning does not, origin of power, in a way affects or destabilizes the essence of competence and experience. I've seen it, I don't know whether with you, but on several other forums, I said, in my village of Mbo, in our local government area of Enugu State, Nigeria, we have close to 20, 30 serving professors. We have over 100 doctorate holders. We have engineers, we have doctors, we have pharmacists, we have accountants. We can form 5 solid federal cabinet. One village, not local government area. We can form the cabinet of professors from different fields, competent to run the country. And the entire southern Nigeria cannot produce a president and other competent people because it's not in the constitution. There's no way they contradict one another. There's no way there's a dichotomy between zoning and competence and experience. So what happens is that how do you run a system that everybody feels comfortable to be part of? How do you ensure that what Buhari did and what Bola Tinubu has intensified and consolidated of an insular, Barakboy kind of arrangement that excludes everyone, that the presidential power constituency has been captured by one ethnic group, that the financial and economic foundation of the state captured by one ethnic group, that even what they call the criminal justice system and the apparatus of defense and security captured again by one ethnic group, and the list is endless. The problem there is when you have, there's even an absurd citation of Malami, former Attorney General. The chief complainant is the president. He's Yoruba. The Attorney General that replaced him from Kwara, but the name is Yoruba anyway. The DGDSS that investigated him is who? Tosin Ajayi. The public prosecutor of the federation is Yoruba. The lawyer assigned by the EFCC to prosecute is Yoruba. 5. Incredibly. Then you have the guy in charge of immigration, Comptroller General, is Kenny Nandap. Oh, he's from Plateau. He's not Plateau, he's Yoruba woman. I even heard that the Palm Secretary from Zamfara State, go check, married to a Zamfara man is Yoruba. Amu Piton is from Kogi. Look at the name. Fabeni from Kwara. Look at the name. The GMD of NNPC from Kwara. Look at the name. There's a careful, deliberate intentionality afoot here to not only ensure that the commanding height of the economy, but the commanding heights of federal institutions, whether it is central bank, whether it is the Ministry of Finance and Coordination of the economy, whether it is customs, as I said, immigration, what is FIRS. That is what zoning is about. And rotation of power is about. That's what Passenger is today, regarded as a pan-national leader who provided for his people from the Southwest, the IGP and the DGDSS, Kodadare, and a few other top people in that security sector, who gave the North Central, someone like Danjuma, General Danjuma, from the North Central, no, from the Northeast. Then from the North Central, his chief of staff, later General Abdullahi, and from the Northwest, General Guzo, they were generals in that very delicate, tentative era of 1999, when we're not sure this democracy will work. They needed the military to reinforce it, or ex-military to reinforce it. They spread them. Then for the economic side, you have the Soludo, you have Gonjiwala, and so on. Balanced. Here I do a different deepening that sense of balance, and Jonathan sustained it until Buhari came calling. And the second Bola Tinubu has now taken to a higher level of illogic this decapitation of the sense of national cohesion and national balance and national stability to a peculiar mood of an insular Barakboic arrangement of power.
Nobody can argue against facts. Facts speak for themselves. You know, you're spot on what you just described. Now, I sat with the presidential spokesman, Mr. Daniel Buala, special advisor to the president on media and policy, public policy. And he said here that 2023 campaign cycle, Mr. Peter Obi was going around churches. That his campaign was largely or essentially religious driven, based on religious sentiments, and he was trying to drive a wedge amongst the major faith, Islam and Christians. And that in this 2027 cycle, the North are wiser. They will not fall sucker for all of that gimmick. How do you respond?
Well, I don't know where that is coming from. And traditionally,
he cited examples.
I said traditionally, I can make exception of talking about the thoughts of an individual, not really consider the individual, but the way, the potency of that thought, or the rational nature or the logic behind the conception of the mind, the architecture of the mind, or architecture of thought. This is completely nonsensical, to say the least, because there are benchmarks you use to measure the people's person's sense of penetration of geographies. In 2023, within a few months of an insurgent political campaign, will be built from a base. You must have a base in power, a base of power, before you can even launch a presidential campaign. If you don't have it, it will be a non-event for you. So you have a base, solid southeast base, substantial south-south base, and a solid group within the southwest even, and then within the Middle Belt region. The idea is to anchor this thing beyond these four geographies or four geopolitical horizons, to bring in the northeast and bring in the northwest into the conversation, to have a complete national political picture. That's a work in progress. There's no way we could have accomplished that work in 2023, given the limited time he had to transition from a PDP already dead on arrival because of lack of zoning to the his emergence as the candidate of the Labour Party, to that quick short election, campaign and election that took place. Now we have almost 8-9 months to get it done. For him to get it done. What did he begin to do? He started a very powerful movement within the North. He visited Bauchi State, for example, 4 or 5 times, conversing with the governor of Bauchi State, who, even though he's not in NDC, he's in APM, you see, within the broad spectrum of opposition politics, that will still be helpful somewhere down the line during the campaign, to ensure that he has that sense of opening there. I can bet you that great leaders like Rufai, who is unfortunately in detention for no just cause. It's a matter of debate. I've discussed some other places. And then you have people like Sulu Lamido them. I personally will tell you how they received it to be in 2023, with a sense of even disdain and so on. We don't know what they're up to. Now, with a sense that, look, it's possible we can do it. One person refused to be part of his campaign, part of his structure in 2023. Now, both of them are in NDC. And the party has zoned the presidency to the south and the vice presidency to the north, in a way. Or this was the president to the north in 2031. Yep. And one person has come out to say, I endorse this arrangement. It's for inclusion and national unity. That's an answer to the person he talked about. But if you have the biggest name in northern politics today in terms of energy, charisma, populism, organic grassroots appeal, with the red rounded heart all over the north, the biggest force is with P2P in a party that lays bare the logicality of this kind of thought. And then why somebody, we end up in within a cloud of mischief, because they're working for a president. Now, the problem we have with this government, and those who speak for the president, those I call a raucous band of noisy aides, is that they have nothing to tell the people. Leave Mr. P2B and Kwankwaso and other leaders of the opposition. Focus that the next election, you cannot rhetoricize this gamble that the president has to do it again. You must come there with a calling card. This is what this president has accomplished. The opposition can rhetoricize it. We will do this, we will do that, we give you heaven and earth, we give you Dorado. The people may buy it. But the only way they will not buy it is for you to say, hello, hold it there. This is what the president has accomplished. But he can't do that because he has to run on his record. That record is shabby. And for me, shameful in many regards. He has even taken the failures of the Buhari presidency, embraced it, and taken it to a higher level of glory. Or, in glory, not just glory, of infamy. Correct word. On the economic front, disaster. On the security front, disaster. On living standard front, disaster. On people's sense of self. of sense of prosperity, of welfare, of identifying themselves as Nigeria, disaster. Every single indices. Look at the price of petroleum products with the war raging in the Middle East. Not even a word from the government in a coherent form to say, we hear your cry. We're making more money. We are sinking this money in. Like even Abacha did with PTF. Jonathan did with Shopee. Even Buhari did his own. No, nothing to write home about. You buy diesel at 2,000 plus. You buy fuel at 1,400. You buy cooking gas unreachable for the people. Prices of staple food stuff. Price of medicine for those with comorbidities, underlying conditions. This is a calling card of the government. Failure. The question that is even laughable is when you ask Nigerians in 2027 for the election. Are you better now or well off now than you were 29 May 2023? The answer will be resounding, no, we are not. So after 8 years of alleged failure in 2023, Nigerians are telling you that this moment is worse off for them than you were then. This government has lost its way.
Prof, let me put you on the spot. You're an Igbo man. You're from Enugu State.
I'm from Enugu State.
The Igbos have never had a bite at the presidency in this Fourth Republic. In fact, for a long time. Now, Mr. Peter Obi has accepted to do just one term in this new party, NDC. How does that, some Igbo people, and I'm married to an Igbo woman.
Okay. Fantastic.
Some Igbo people, yes, some Igbo people have come out very strongly to repudiate that Mr. Peter Obi is throwing the Igbos under the bus for personal ambition. How do you react to this?
I don't even know how to respond to that. It looks very illogical and very strange for me. Moments come in history when you do that, which is extraordinary for the sake of the destiny of a people. The ontology, the metaphysics of being. The Civil War was a harrowing experience and needed to be what? Closed. That sense of closure will happen to some considerable degree with the emergence of a Nigerian president of Igbo extraction. This history now, this moment becomes, it becomes on us to see whether we can get that work. It could have happened possibly in 1983, 87, when the women who have likely become the candidate of the MPN and done it. It didn't happen. The military came and scattered democracy then. Equipment came again in 1998, 99. It didn't happen. Even the former Biafran leader, Ikemba, Ujumujukwu tried in 2003 or 7. It didn't work. Now you have opportunity to respect zoning, respect rotation of power, so that you will not be accused of that which you accused are not enough. In 2023, PDP walked from PDP to say, he didn't zone it to the South. It's a turn of the South to have it. You should have given it to them. He can't come around in 2027 and say, no, I'm going to do more than 1 term. When you know the past, you return to the North in 2031. That is sacrifice of the greatest political order. It's not because you're not entitled to 8 years. It's because I told you here, constitution should not be a fetish. Convention, forbearance, toleration or tolerance. These are key elements of building elite consensus and building national consensus on the basis of elite consensus, or crafting national consensus on elite consensus. To say, if I do it for 4 years, I can accomplish a lot. I'll stand down with him. I say 4 years. He said 4 years is too much. You can do it in 4 years. Jim Obodo did it in Enugu in 4 years. Incredible, Anambra State, incredible accomplishment. There's some back of Imo State, incredible accomplishment. Even what Shagari them did without the difficulties of that era in 4 years. So he will come to do it in 4 years. I'll return power to the North. He will do 8 years, then the journey comes back to the South. That is how you build a nation. It's not by sentiment, but by careful plotting of the national graph of ascendancy. And that ascendancy must accommodate the sensitivities and sensibilities of everybody in the country. Okay.
The Supreme Court judgment recently leveled the Ibadan convention of the PDP. Likewise, the Wiki-led faction, whatever they did, the convention in Abuja also cleared it.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our president, can issue threat to a minister. So if the minister of FCT issued a threat to anybody, it is not the minister that issued the threat, it's the president. Because if he's not happy with the threat, he will sack him or query him. Yeah. So if he refuses to sack or query him, a man who you appointed, who was not elected to a position, who has no autonomous political life, he has no authentic political existence, he derives it from you, 100%. And there are three people or set of people in the villa. Presidential communication bleeds into presidential communication. So what Wike says in public is presidential communication. You can't separate the two. And then Hadiza, Balo's man, who monitors and oversees minister, should be aware of what he's doing. If she permits it, then it's part of presidential policy and so on, threatening people and so on. If does his media gara and so on, it's not him there in that media conference. It's the president there sitting down, talking to people, talking down on them and insulting them. Because if you allow him to do so, that means what he's doing is pleasing to you. Like we said, and I've repeated it elsewhere, if a father tells a son, go steal from me, he doesn't walk stealthily. He smashes through the door and the windows and the corridors and the balconies and does it the way the father wants it to be done. So whatever is happening with the Minister of FCT is the president. All our knees have been on Wike's neck. We should take our knees off his neck and put those knees on the neck of the president who sent forth Wike. So that's why we're not commenting about what Wike has said or didn't say, even if it is true, because he has no power of his own to say or do any of those things. The president grants him those power. He's a man under authority and subject to the president. But for now, the law is clear, not what your tantrum will tell you. If you have the Border Convention axed and the suspension of Anyanwu, Ajiba, and the rest upheld, the only force left in the party as a statutory body is the BOT. The framework for that will be worked out by the party or the party in consultation with INEC. Or INEC can seek clarification from the Supreme Court on what's next for the party to do. That is the way to go. Being not a lawyer, I don't know the sequence of events and how that will happen.
Bauchi Governor Bala Mohammed we're not sure where he was moving to. He himself was not sure. He wanted to go to APC. He gave them demands. They said 60-40. They didn't agree. He wanted to join ADC. He didn't find it comfortable. He's gone to APL. Can you speak to all of these issues about Governor Bala Mohammed?
One of the strongest political force of our generation, yes, maybe of Nigerian political history, is Bala Mohammed, Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State. He's a warrior in the heart because he's a transcendent kind of political force or element. One, in 2010, when he caught his teeth into the national political firmament, he moved the doctrine of necessity.
Exactly.
That doctrine saw to the stabilization of our democracy and then averted the constitutional crisis that was emerging with the sickness and ultimately the death of our dear blessed president, Yar'Adua. He then after became a minister of FCT and did incredibly well. And then went back to Bauchi as a governor of Bauchi State and then chairman PDP Governors Forum, and fought tenaciously for almost 3 years and delivered this judgment. Nobody thought PDP would even come to the stage where Senator Mawara will now sit down together and put together a unity sort of cabinet and interim leadership that INEC has to accept, led by Turaki, that were produced at the Ibadan. Who did all that? He's the chairman of the Governors Forum, Bala Mohammed, together with Sheyi Makinde, when the rest of the governors fled. So he stayed firm, court after court, battle after battle. He led the charge even at the secretariat of the party, inhaling smoke, the fumes of tear gas. I watched it live on television. He didn't back off or back down. And this has a spirit of candor you don't find in contemporary politicians. It's not like in ancient times. Well, I mean the First Republic, Second Republic, where people speaks from the heart to say, my life and that of my people is under threat, and my political engagements have become very problematic. I want the government of the day to have left us alone to do what we want to do. The moment ADC came calling, there was confusion in the land. The slum ADC with multiple legal challenges. Is it about me? So then I said, okay, if it's possible to talk with you people, for the sake of my people, not even my own self, I'm prepared to sacrifice enormously my identity, my ontological essence or force, but for the sake of my people, let me talk with you people. You don't even want me, even if you're talking, so let it be. Let me find a new home, because every politics is local. I'm part of the broader spectrum for opposition politics. I could be in NDC, I could be in ADC, and so on, but I'm in APM, which suits my people. That's where they want us to go. That means APM may not even have a presidential candidate. We will local in Bauchi, maybe Bado, I don't know. Then I'm going to produce my successor, produce 3 senators, entire reps, and to the assembly, or as many of them as possible. There's the presidential question to be sorted out. We can decide at that stage. I can speak for him. We have 6-7 months of conversation and contestation. So it is possible that the NDC ticket may find an ally in him. APM. In APM. So his politics is a politics that is cast in iron One, the people. Two, the people. Three, the people. And begin with the local people who are his own, who produced him, before he can embrace the wider national empowerment, which he did successfully by moving that motion, by being a minister, and being the chairman of PDP Governors Forum.
Brilliant. Final question, Prof. 2027. So we're going to go back to, some have said we're going back to 2023 scenario, where you have these strong actors standing alone, whereas the idea was to have all of them coalesce so that they can face this monster in inverted commas. How do you read that? Is that correct?
First and foremost, I don't know how many presidents globally that have done better in their second term than they did in their first term. Obama came with, yes we can, spirit of change, and smashed through. John McCain, he was almost like, how did they describe it in the US there? It was like a total sweep. Home run, slam dunk. He won almost everywhere. In 2012 was a bitter awakening for him. Reckoning. Oh, this man is like an ordinary politician. We thought we saw something new, something different. No, it's not different. His votes plummeted. He scored far less and did far worse than he did in 2008. Jonathan, yes, Bidoni. People thought Bidoni was going to win, but he didn't. But it was a narrow call. Yeah. 2011, Mr. Shoeless, Jonathan, breath of fresh air, PhD holder. People say, oh my God, this guy is different, uniquely different from what we've been seeing. They could imagine him going to school without shoes. Yes. That humble beginnings. He smashed through 2011. What happened in 2015? He lost and conceded. Go and see what Buhari did. 2015 and 2019. Many people thought Article 1 was somehow or the other I couldn't put it through. So there's always a diminishment for the second time. That's why I said this president was not on his record. So he scored 8 million votes 2023. So I'm giving you that you're going to lose bleed away about 40-50% of his votes. So I'm giving you no more than 4 million votes this time around.
Seriously?
Of course, because it's going to bleed down. It's going to add more.
Wow.
Yes, it is historical. Wow. Give examples anywhere you like. It's difficult. They have been done. So you can fact check me.
With all the governors and all this.
I'm saying it's a record that's going to power you through. Facts now, what you have done. Yeah. Governor has only 1 vote. Or will you go and sit down, carry money, and then do what? Go and buy the votes there? People wouldn't allow that to happen this time around, for God's sake. So only one man, 1 woman, 1 vote. The record is disastrous. That will not get more than 3, 4, 5 million votes. Why will you get it? I said history has shown that he will do far less than he did before. Because the people have now seen through him. Now, Peter B scored 6-point-something million votes without any presence in the 2 corridors. What they typically call the Kanuri corridor and the Fulani corridor of the west. The other one is in the east. That has 1 person. Bestriding with corridors. We don't even know many who will join the ranks of the campaign down the line. So if he has 6-point-something million votes, give him an extra 3 or 4 million votes or more. So he's going to hit close to 10, 11 million votes. So, I don't know about that, I don't want to talk about that formation. I'm talking about P2B and Kwankwaso likely a ticket, and then against Bola Tinubu and so on. Anybody else can come in information and do it. But once you do that, which you've done before, as P2B, with Kwankwaso and possibly partnering with him, having accepted the zoning to the 2031 is
home run.
Home run.
Nice place to have. Yeah. Nice to have you. And I'm sure we'll see you again.
It's a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you again, Prof. Thank you so much.